Problem number one, given these two functions, we have f of x equals 4x minus 2 and g of x equals negative 8x plus 9. We want to find f minus g of x. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this combination of these two functions, this difference of these two functions, as literally a difference. So I'm going to rewrite this as f of x minus g of x. If this was f plus g of x, I would do the same thing, f of x plus g of x. If it was f times g of x, f of x times g of x. So this literally shows us what we're doing, right? I'm taking the f function, 4x minus 2, and from that, I'm subtracting the g function, negative 8x plus 9. You may or may not realize it, but these parentheses are really important, right? Especially when I'm subtracting. I want to make sure that this subtraction, I'm subtracting this entire expression. So I'm subtracting both terms. That subtraction has to be distributed through the parentheses. So what's happening here is 4x minus 2 plus 8x minus 9. If you don't put the parentheses, you might get this plus 8x, but you probably won't get this minus 9. You'll probably have this as plus 9. So it's really important when you're subtracting to distribute that negative sign through the parentheses. It's like negative 1 times each of these. Okay? So now we just combine our like terms. 4x plus 8x is 12x. X, negative 2 minus 9 is negative 11. So that's my f minus g of x. It's equal to 12x minus 11. That's our solution there. Now, if this, let's say this wasn't just f minus g of x, just for argument's sake. Let's say this was f minus g of 2, or some constant, whatever the constant is, right? There's two ways to evaluate this, right? There's two ways to evaluate at a particular value. The first way is find f minus g of x first, right? Find f minus g of x first. Find f minus g of x first, which we did. We found that as 12x minus 11. That's f minus g of x. Let me write that a little bit better. Let me write this a little bit better. And I think to give myself the space to do this, I'm going to move down a little bit. So let's say we were evaluating f minus g of 2. Right? What you could do first is find f minus g of x, which we did. We found that was 12x minus 11. And then from there, f minus g of 2 just means substitute 2 into that function, that combination of two functions that we found, right? This is not what the problem is asking, but this is just in case. 12 times 2 is 24, minus 11. So f minus g of 2 equals 13. That's one way to find f minus g of 2. The other way, another way to think about f minus g of 2 is let's split it just like I split into f of x minus g of x up here. Let's split f minus g of 2 to be f of 2 minus g of 2. Evaluate the individual functions first, and then evaluate the composite, the combination. So f of x is 4x minus 2. So f of x is 4x minus 2. G of x is negative 8x plus 9. So let's just substitute 2 into each of those, right? 4 times 2 minus 2. That's my f of 2. 8 minus 2. That's 6. So f of 2 is 6. G of 2, that's negative 8 times 2 plus 9. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16 plus 9. Negative 16 plus 9 is negative 7. G of 2 is negative 7. Now this problem says take f of 2 and subtract g of 2 from that. So let's subtract g of 2. 6 minus negative 7 is 6 plus 7, which still gives me 13. So if you're asked to evaluate at a value, you can use either of these two methods to do it. First, by finding f of g of x, f minus g of x, and then evaluating at your value, or evaluate the individual functions first and then do the operation that you're asked to do. Either way, you'll get there. And this was the original problem that you were asked to do.